Hello everyone. We are into the sixth session of rotational dynamics, and in the rotational dynamics, in the first five sessions, we have talked about the circular motion of an object, in which we actually took into consideration the uniform circular motion as well as a non-uniform circular motion. The best example of which was taken into consideration by us, and that was about the vertical circular motion under gravity. While studying circular motion, we have been saying that whenever I talk about rotational dynamics or a body which is rotating, for every object which is rotating, the particles of that rotating object, they are actually going to perform a circular motion about the axis of rotation, except those particles which are exactly on the axis of rotation, because the distance or that radius vector for that object itself will be equal to 0 for all such particles. Now, while talking about rotational motion of an object, we will be comparing linear motion of an object with the rotational motion of an object. The first thing which I speak about is about what is the inertia of a body. So in case of linear motion of an object, mass represents inertia of a body. Let's see, what do I mean by inertia? Inertia in fact is the tendency of a body to maintain its state of rest or of uniform motion. In case of a linear motion, if I take into consideration a heavy body, it is difficult for me to move a heavy body from the state of rest, and also it is difficult for me to bring about the change in velocity of a heavy object. Whereas if I talk about an object which is lighter in mass, that object is easy for us to move from its state of rest and also easy for us to change its velocity or to bring about an acceleration. So in case of linear motion, the heavy mass, I mean the mass, will be representing the inertia of a body. The greater the mass, greater will be the inertia of a body. Smaller the mass, smaller will be the inertia of a body. Whereas in case of rotational motion, the quantity which measures the inertia of rotation, it means that for a body which is going to rotate, initially if the body is at rest and I want to move that body, or I want to set that body into rotational motion, it is difficult for me to rotate, or it is going to give me more torque is required to bring about that object, to set it into rotational motion, if the body is having greater moment of inertia. Whereas if the body is having smaller value of moment of inertia, it is going to be easy for me to rotate that body, or if the body is already into the rotational motion, it is easy for me to change the state of its rotational motion, either to increase its angular velocity or to decrease its angular velocity. Now, what exactly is the moment of inertia of a body? Instead of that, first of all, I talk about what is and how much is the moment of inertia, mi. Popularly, henceforth, it will be called as mi. The mi of any point mass m about an axis of rotation. So if I say an object is at distance equal to r, the mass of which is equal to m, this object is going to rotate about this axis of rotation. Its moment of inertia is given by m into r squared. If I have another object, another having mass m2, and it is rotating at some distance r2, its moment of inertia will be m2 into r2 squared. Third object, if I have, then its moment of inertia will be mass into radius squared, that will be m3 r3 squared. Like if I have a body which is composed of n number of point masses, the masses of which are given by m1, m2, m3 as in the diagram up to mn, which are all situated at distances r1, r2, r3, r4 up to rn respectively, and if the body is about to rotate, the moment of inertia of such a particular body is given by sum of that mi ri squared, sigma of mi ri squared, or in terms of normal equation, I can write it as I is equal to m1 r1 squared to r2 squared plus m3 r3 squared, and so on. So because it is product of mass, if I want to define what is meant by moment of inertia, it is shown in this screen. That mi of a rotating rigid body about a given axis is defined as the sum of the product of mass of each particle to the square of its distance from rotation. Now what I find here is, because it is sum of mass into square of distance, its SI unit is going to be equal to kilogram into meter square. That kilogram represents mass raised to 1, meter square represents length raised to 2. So it's, you see, dimension of I, it is equal to m raised to 1, L raised to 2 and T raised to 0. I'll in fact talk about what is meant by physical significance of moment of inertia. And when I want to talk about the physical significance of moment of inertia, I have already said that moment of inertia of a rotating rigid body is a quantity which is similar to that of mass, which is analogous to that of mass in case of linear motion. Now I'll just take for example, you see, for first 4 paragraphs which we have shown in this definition earlier, they were, you see, mass was analogous to that of mi. If I have a look at this tabular format, I have physical quantities which are given here. You can say kinetic energy is given to us. In case of linear motion, the kinetic is given by half mv squared. In case of maybe rotational motion, the rotational kinetic energy is half I omega squared. The force in case of linear motion is given by F is equal to mass into acceleration, whereas in case of rotational motion, torque is equal to, it is I alpha. In case of linear motion, linear momentum of an object is given by product of mass and velocity, P is equal to mv, whereas the angular momentum or the rotational momentum is given by L is equal to I omega. In all these 3 compared equations, I find that wherever there was mass in linear motion, it is getting replaced by moment of inertia I in the rotational motion equations. The linear acceleration was getting replaced by angular acceleration alpha. Linear velocity v is getting replaced by angular velocity omega. So overall, it is observed that mass of object is getting replaced by moment of inertia, and that is how you can compare that the physical significance tells you that mass, whatever role it performs in linear motion, the same role is performed by I, the moment of inertia, in case of rotational motion. Now hereafter we will speak actually about, we will speak about radius of gyration of an object. Now what is meant by radius of gyration? We are actually going to define what is meant by radius of gyration. Definition says that radius of gyration is defined as the distance of a point from the axis of rotation at which the entire mass of the body can be assumed to be concentrated so as to possess the same mi of body about a given axis. This radius of gyration is a very you see, very important concept, and it's very abstract concept. The word radius of gyration itself is related to radius. If I have a rotating rigid body and it is having some moment of inertia I, you take into consideration a ring of the same mass as that of the mass of the body. The ring has to have such a particular radius so that the moment of inertia of that ring about its standard axis is equal to the mi of the same body about the same given axis. That is one idea how we can represent that, or you can explain the radius of gyration. In the definition, it says that in fact, if you have a body which is rotating from this axis of rotation, maybe, so from this axis of rotation, you consider a point mass m, the mass which is equal to the mass of that entire body, at such a distance you keep it, usko aise distance pe rakho, so that mass into that square of distance has to be matching with the moment of inertia of a body. So such a particular hypothetical distance at which that point mass will give you the same mi about the same axis is called as axis, you see, radius of gyration. However, when I say at which the entire mass of the body can be assumed to be concentrated, please keep it in mind that I do not mean by any means that point to be the center of mass of the body. I don't mean that. It is just a virtual imaginary point, the center of, I mean, that particular point at which the, or that radius of gyration distance can even lie outside the object. So it is actually not going to be a problem for us. That's just a hypothetical distance. Now, the physical significance of radius of gyration, it is going to give you an idea of how the mass is distributed from the given axis of rotation. If you have the mass which is, I mean, if you have a rotating rigid body, the mass of which is concentrated near the axis of rotation, the value of k will be smaller. However, if the mass is concentrated away or is distributed away from the axis of rotation, you will have larger values of k. So k is basically going to tell you where is the mass distributed with respect to your axis of rotation. However, if you have a look at that equation, I is equal to mk squared is basically the equation, and therefore you will have k is equal to, it is root of I upon m, is a very popular formula. Now I next go for, you see, a very simple derivation to find how much is the kinetic energy of a rotating rigid body. As we have already in the table seen that equation, kinetic energy is equal to half I omega squared. We are now trying to prove that. In this diagram, I find that I have got a rotating rigid body of any kind of a shape which is going to have certain axis of rotation passing through point O through the body. You can of course take that point to be anywhere, and the entire body is composed of n point masses m1, m2, m3 up to mn, which are all situated at distances r1, r2, r3 up to rn respectively from your axis of rotation. Now, because I'm considering body to rotate with some angular velocity and the entire body revolves, the body is assumed to be rigid body. Each and every particle of the body, even if it is at different radius, all of them are going to have the same angular velocity. Let's even consider the body to have the constant angular velocity. So omega is constant for each and every object on the axis of rotation. Now for the first point mass, if I want to find what is its kinetic energy, I'll find a very simple equation. Kinetic energy is half mv squared. So for first point mass, kinetic energy 1 is equal to half m1 v1 squared. It is also equal to, but you see v1 is equal to r1 omega, and omega is same for each and every particle. So it will be half m1 into r1 omega squared, which I simplify, and it will give me k1 is equal to half m1 r1 squared omega squared. Similarly, if I talk about second particle, kinetic energy 2 will be equal to half m2 r2 squared omega squared. Kinetic energy of the third particle will be half m3 r3 squared omega squared. And similarly for the last nth point mass, the kinetic energy will be equal to half mn rn squared omega squared. So the total kinetic energy of the rigid body will be sum of all such kinetic energies, and it will be E1 plus E2 plus E3 plus E4 plus up to En. So if I try to take all sum of all such bodies, it will give me kinetic energy E is equal to half m1 r1 squared omega squared plus half m2 r2 squared omega squared plus up to half mn rn squared omega squared. The equation which is written here in this highlighted form, out of which omega squared is taken common out throughout, and then what remains inside the bracket is only half is of course taken common out, and inside the bracket all those terms, they are only sigma mi ri squared, where I will take all n values 1 to n. That bracket quantity inside the bracket half sigma mi ri squared, from where I is equal to 1 to n, is basically your moment of inertia of a rigid rotating body about the given axis, and therefore I find that final equation of kinetic energy is half I omega squared. So today in this particular session of rotational dynamics, what we have studied is what exactly is meant by the mi of a rotating rigid body, its physical significance. We have also talked about what is the radius of gyration, its physical significance, its equation, and also the expression for what is the total kinetic energy of rotating rigid body. Okay, thank you very much for watching this video.